people are usually very dedicated to making the time for it, but it doesn't always work out. We've had, we have to work around people's schedules.
I'm taking a Spanish class on Tuesdays and Thursdays at Chemeketa at the beautiful new campus. So I don't have time on those evenings, except, of course, for when we're doing our final dress rehearsals. Then I will have to skip my class.
But we're able to work around that because her character's only in the first act of the show.
Okay.
So,
So we
when
can
she
switch
can't
off
be
acts.
there, we do the second act.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
And so that's one of the great things about community theater is it's an opportunity for anybody to be able to be involved, and it's not just on stage.
Oh, right.
We had just one of our stage crew come in last night. Someone I don't think she's ever been involved with the theater at Gallery before, and unfortunately I can't remember her name. But
Me neither.
a young girl came in, and she's going to be assisting backstage.
Oh, that's great.
So there's always volunteer opportunities for things like that.
And of course, there's set building, and always that, and there are all kinds of things that people can do. The lights and the sound and
Costuming for the really big shows, especially, that's needed.
Yeah.
Now, so are you? Let's just get it right out on the table. Are you having to wear something with the hideous shoulder pads?
No, I'm not.
You're
Thankfully,
not,
I've
really?
actually been telling people that this is the most comfortable costume I've ever had to wear
Oh,
on
really?
the gallery stage.
That's one of the things that I remember from the '80s with like those long knife pleat skirts. Okay, people wore those like nursey white tights. Remember those? Like really icky.
Yeah.
Yep. And the big shoulder pads.
That's the nice
And the
thing.
big bow thing. Remember the bows with the
Yeah.
Lots of Aquanet, the hair.
There is some amount of 80s flair to it, but the nice thing about the Nerd is that it's not ostentatiously 80s. It's not like, bam, bam, we're in the 80s now, we have gigantic hair or anything like that. It's more, it could work in any sort of context except for the fact that it was a Vietnam War sort of reference.
Now, are there a lot of references to the Vietnam War in particular?
Not a lot. There's a few.
Yeah, they reference Nam.
Yes.
Because, I mean, if a person really wanted to update this, I mean, it could just as easily be now and it could be Iraq or something.
Yeah,
It is
Yes.
possible. Yeah.
I'd actually thought about that we could easily have changed, we'd have to get permission, and it's a lot
Right.
of copyright stuff, but you could change any reference to Nam to Iraq or Desert Storm or any of that kind of stuff, and have it work out the same way.
Yeah.
Change the AK-47 to an
IED.
IED.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure I get the right vowel in the middle there because it changes completely otherwise.
Exactly.
But so it could be updated, but that would involve a lot of legal, simply because you'd have to be changing the writer's words.
And some of the jokes reference late 70s, early 80s pop culture, so that might throw a little bit of that off as well.
But it's not the sort of play that's written so that all the comedy comes from things that are completely out of date.
Yes.
In like something that I ran into with Arsenic and Old Lace, there were all of these references to figures that were popular in the 30s and 40s, and our young cast of 20-somethings had to like stare at the script and look on YouTube and stuff to figure out who these people were.
Exactly.
Yeah, we actually have a reference. There's several references in this play that we had to research. One of them might.
I was just thinking that when I was looking at all of you, I'm thinking, God, were you guys even alive in the 70s?
Well, I was, but and Jeff was. Jeff is old.
Yeah, Jeff is like almost as old as me.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, but yeah, there was because my character references Marjorie Main at one point, and I had to look that up to realize that Ma Kettle. Okay, and then there's also a reference to Jay Silverheels, who played Tonto on the old Lone Ranger show, which is kind of funny because when I was a kid, I watched it. It was on Saturday mornings on Channel 12 here in Portland. I would watch the old Lone Ranger show, but I didn't ever know the names of the character of Tonto. I used to know the name of the guy who played Lone Ranger, but I can't remember.
I don't know it either.
Yeah, but and so it took us a while to figure that one out, and so but it's kind of funny because it's not just Shakespeare that has those kinds of references. Shakespeare makes all kinds of weird inside jokes to things from the 15th century.
They were really funny back in the 50s.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
But this is kind of interesting to show that it doesn't take 400 years to lose.
No, it's like it's sort of a generation, really. Something like that.
And they talk about that a little bit in the play. It's like we use outdated. They talk about how they use outdated slang and that other people don't get, the characters. So the characters are, that's the other thing, is they're not high fashion people anyway.
Okay.
And so the shoulder pads and everything.
So they would
Yeah.
have been sort of behind the times.
Yeah.
But well, you know, it's kind of interesting when you're talking about slang, because I was watching this thing today and it was like a YouTube, and the guy kept using an expression, and I thought, you know, I have absolutely no idea what that means. I'm going to have to ask somebody much younger than myself because I'm just not connecting the dots. But, you know, to anybody else who would watch it, like, you know, somebody like my kid's age, that would seem perfectly normal, I'm sure. Yeah, so.
Out of curiosity, what phrase?
He kept saying something, and he'd say B. Da-da-da-da-da. You know what I'm saying? B.
Oh, I see.
You know what I'm saying? B. And he kept saying that. I
Yes.
was like,
Yes.
and I was like, I'm not getting it. So
I'm not
anyway.
even getting that one.
Oh, well, I guess you'd have to see it. You probably might. But
Yes.
anyway, so those are some of the fun challenges. But then in terms of human nature, some things never change, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
and that's one of the great things about this play is that even though it was written in 1980, it was focused around the area of the Vietnam War, that it's still funny today.
Yeah.
Oh, and
When we were reading through it, we were having difficulty just reading the lines, getting through it. And we really weren't reading it as actors the first time. We were reading it as people just trying to understand what was going on, because I myself had never heard of the play until I auditioned for it. Never read through it until I was handed the script to read through. It was so hilarious. Some of us were crying when we were reading through it. And so I can only imagine what the audience is going to do when they see this actually performed with live people.
Because a lot of the comedy is situational and it's also physical. So like we're reading the dialogue, and sure, the dialogue may sometimes not be exactly what we expect, but the stage directions are hilarious by themselves. And so when you're imagining us trying to do this while you're reading through it, it's like, oh, that's going to be really funny.
we've often joked among ourselves that we need to give the audience a copy of the script so that they can read the author's the stuff that the audience doesn't get to see, because he some of the ways he describes how we're supposed to act or react to things is so funny. But yeah, and it's, I mean, even still, I mean, we've been working on this for a while, and we go through the same things over and over again. There are things that still make us laugh.
That's great.
And this is, I've joked in the past about how, you know, the old, back in like the 50s and 60s, they used to have all these gimmicks with movies. You know, we'll pay for your funeral if you die of fright, or things like that. That we were needing to have, like, you know, offering like free adult diapers when people come in, so that just in case you wet your pants. Because I mean, seriously, it is the kind of, especially in Act 2, once the act gets going, people are going to start laughing. And they're not going to stop.
They're just going to keep laughing.
Because every time they reach, you know, they get a chance to break and catch their breath, it starts up again, and it is so just absolutely hilarious. And of course, we do it phenomenally well.
Oh, well, of course.
But,
yes, of course.
It's just one of those shows that people aren't. I mean, people will remember it.
So this is kind of one of those shows that if, in fact, your timing isn't good, and if anybody really were struggling for their lines, it's not like you've got a lot of breathing room.
No,
I mean, people just have to be on top of it to keep it moving.
This is a non-stop moving play. A lot of us will probably soak through our shirts before the end, because it is so physical. There is so much movement. It's just insane how much is expected of the actor. Larry Shue, the author, was just brilliant when he wrote this, and I really wish I could see his portrayal of Willem, because he actually played the original Willem when he did it in Milwaukee for the first time.
Was it filmed?
I don't know if it was filmed.
I doubt it.
I've tried to look it up, but I haven't seen
so
it.
long ago.
Well, and then Mark
It was
Hamill
the year
played,
I was born.
I can't remember if Mark Hamill played, because Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker was in a production of it as well after that, the Broadway production.
Oh, fun.
And I don't know who he played. I imagine he was probably Will Cupboard. I can't imagine him being Rick Steadman.
Yeah, I don't think he would play that.
Will could be more of a whiny character, which would be good for Mark Hamill.
Give the wine.
Yeah.
So you could play this in a number of ways, but you're playing as more stoic, a little bit stoic. Is that what you'd say?
I would say that I have not discovered myself as a human being. I don't know how to project my emotions to people. I know what I feel on the inside, and I get frustrated when I can't say it. So a lot of the times I'm just like, please, and so I'm just stammering. And you know, it may seem when you watch it that I don't know my lines, but that's
That's
the
how it's written.
That
so
is the
don't-
character.
He's more of like a methodical, thoughtful type of character, and when he's forced to act quickly.
If I'm able to sit down and write, I can get my words across because I'm a successful architect. I'm able to.
I can draw you a picture.
I can do that. So I feel that as my character, if I'm able to sit down and concentrate and am not forced to just come up with something on the spot, that I could be more emotional and share this relationship with Tansy that she is really wanting. But because I'm not able to do that and not able to keep up with friends and family that are around, that I'm losing my relationship with people. And that with Axel especially, I don't get his humor because I'm really not trying to understand that. I'm trying to understand myself so that I can connect with him better. I think that's why we only refer to him as a friend, even though he's my best friend. I'm not really to that point yet of where I'm acknowledging that because he's just a tenant to me.
You haven't come to the conclusion that he really is important and means a great deal to you.
And with Tansy, we've been dating for 2 years, but she's at the point where she's tired of waiting, so she's going to leave if I don't do something.
She's wanting a ring, baby.
Yes, she is wanting a ring.
And a
Yes.
career.
It's time.
It's kind of interesting. I mean, the character of Tansy is really an interesting one because she is, you know, sort of this new woman type of thing. But I mean, she wants a career and she wants a life, and she's worried perhaps that as much as she cares for Willem, she can't really get that from him, and so he has to prove his chutzpah, sort of, and prove to her that he gumption is the word they use in the play.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, and it's in that way, it's definitely has that late 70s, early 80s, the new woman.
Oh, I see. Okay, the feminist.
The
emergent feminism.
Yeah, that whole
Yeah.
that came out through the 70s and into the 80s when women were really getting into the corporate world.
I remember those years.
And so that comes up. It's still relevant, even though I saw on CNN today that women are actually more educated and more successful than men now.
More women go to college and
but
graduate.
it's definitely that. So there's still some relevancy to that, but it's definitely pulling. Her character is pulling more from that. She's trying to break away because she takes care of his apartment
Okay.
when he's not around, and throughout the play, she's always like
Cleaning
bringing out
up
the
after
food
me.
and cleaning things up. And
Taking my jacket, cleaning
He
my
really
letters
doesn't know
up.
how to function without her, so
Yes.
he's a little worried about what's going to happen when she leaves.
And so I'm trying to struggle with the fact that she's about to leave, and I don't know what I'm going to do.
And she's about to leave, but meanwhile, Rick isn't.
Rick is not
Yeah.
leaving.
Yeah.
So I know that there's got to be like a really fabulous ending to this, and I know that you're not going to tell me
Of course
what it
not.
is.
Oh,
It's
no.
a huge twist.
Okay, so probably what we want to do then is, let me just ask you this question really quick, and that is, have you learned anything about screenwriting from being in live theater?
Yes, I have.
Yeah?
I've been able to learn a lot about
Okay.
about order and cleverness in your lines to make it as short as possible, but as funny as possible. Don't drag the joke on.
Yeah, like don't bore people.
Move to the next joke.
Exactly.
And then that makes it more funny.
Kind of like real life.
as few words as possible.
Yeah, when
Yes.
somebody says something funny, it's great, and then when they stop to try to explain it, you're like, I'm over it. Good Lord,
Yes.
move on. Okay, so you want to just reiterate the days and times of the play?
It opens October 14th,
Okay.
Which is next Friday, well, at the time of this shooting, October 14th, and runs on Fridays and Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. and on Sunday matinees at 3 p.m. And we end on November 5th,
a Saturday.
which is a Saturday.
Perfect,
So
okay.
there's 3 matinees, and the rest are evening performances. And I probably should have checked ticket prices before we got here.
Well, we can't talk about it anyway because they can go to the website.
That's
Yes,
true.
they can.
So, and the box office phone number is
472
2227.
2227, yes.
Good job.
It's in my phone, so I never have to remember.
Thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having
Thank
me.
you.